It is quite obvious cars that have German made attached to them command a premium in price and hold a place of pride amongst owners. What's not so obvious at times is why. Take this German that's made for India, the VW Taigun. It's not as big, it's not as well equipped, it's not as efficient and not as rough road ready as its competition. So, are you just paying for the badge? Well, partly. What's not so obvious are things like its safety factor, its built to last feel, and its driving experience. Also, the Taigun has hidden pockets of practicality that will make it all the more appealing for some. If you are one of these, I have one question for you. But first, what is the Taigun? The Taigun is an urban SUV. In size, it's smaller than its rivals, which makes it better for the city. It's narrower. It's also shorter. So, from some angles, it looks more like a pumped-up hatchback, not a scaled-down SUV. But it is handsome. It has a toned body, which is great for lounging around cafes and zooming down expressways. The Taigun looks rich, not rugged. It has the highest chrome per square inch of any VW globally. It's a fact. Despite which, it looks classy, not tacky. It has brighter colors to add some coolness into the mix. The design for the alloy wheels, though, isn't as cool as the Kushaqs. On the inside too, the Taigun looks handsome. It's a simple kind of handsome. The design for the dashboard and the seats won't wow you today, but you won't tire of them in years to come either. The way it's put together feels well built. So the Taigun is thoughtfully made and well made, but it doesn't feel lavish. There are too many hard and grey plastics. The colors for the seat upholstery is boring. The rubber pad for the wireless charger looks tacky. When it was launched, Volkswagen said the Taigun was thoughtfully equipped, which meant it missed out on a lot. It didn't have a digital driver's instrument cluster. It didn't have ventilated seats. It didn't have powered driver's seat, all of which is available today. It also gets a premium sound system, which will help it compete better with the likes of the Creta, Seltos, and Harrier. This Taigun's thoughtfulness quotient can and should go up in the not-so-obvious ways that VW likes. It should have UV-cut glasses to keep the cabin cool. It would also help the air conditioning system, which has to work hard as it is to cool this cabin down. The controls for the air conditioning system should be switched from the touch-based system to physical controls to make it easier to use on the go. Sunshades for the second row would add to the comfort there. So the Taigun today is much better equipped than it was when it was launched, but it's still not wow. The cabin comfort of the Taigun will not wow you at first. It is narrow, so you don't get that sense of largeness and space. But it is surprising. The backseat isn't as tight as you would think. It's a little bit better for three than the Elevate, which actually isn't saying much. This is not a 5-seater. It is a 4-seater. But there is a not so obvious beauty in the Taigun here. As a 4-seater, it is excellent. Whether you're tall or short, whether your journeys are long or short, whether you're in the front or back, it is comfortable. The seats look plain, but they are the best in the segment. You will enjoy your time in them. Its boot space is tiny for the segment, but in the real world, it's been the best in the class up until the arrival of the Elevate. The Taigun also has 60-40 split folding second row, which increases its practicality and versatility further. The specs for the Taigun's engines stamp its German superiority quite obviously. What's not so obvious is that it has a sensational side and a senseless side. This 1-liter engine is impressive on the highway. It's punchier than you would expect. It's smoother than you would expect, and it is fuel efficient. It will be easy enough to live with if you happen to live in cities like Kochi, Jaipur, or Nagpur, where the roads are good and the traffic is flowing. In cities like Mumbai, Bengaluru, or Delhi, where you're stuck in door-to-door stop-go traffic, or when you're hustling around in parking lots, this 1-liter turbo petrol engine with the automatic will not feel sophisticated enough. It feels too jerky and jumpy, which is why we wouldn't recommend it to new drivers as well. Its fuel efficiency at low speeds isn't great either. The automatic and the manual with the heavier clutch are tied on inconvenience. You can choose to break the tie depending on your confidence and experience. As for me, I would pick the 1.5-liter turbo petrol engine every time. Yes, it's more expensive, it's more sophisticated, and more exciting. But the not so obvious reason to pick this engine is that it's more sensible. It's smoother and nicer to drive in city traffic. It's easy with the manual or the automatic. On the highway, it's faster and more effortless even with a load. And while its efficiency is just slightly lower in the city compared to the 1-liter, on the highway, it's just as good. In terms of maintenance, the turbo petrol with the dual clutch is a little bit better than the 6-speed automatic with the 1-liter. You can look that up. The enthusiasts can go for the manual with this engine. It will feel fun. The DCT isn't as sharp and quick as before, but it's still plenty convenient. This engine unlocks the joy of going German with the Taigun. It's the one we'd recommend every time, even if it means waiting a bit and saving up a bit more. In the way it drives, the Taigun is quite German. The suspension is controlled, the steering is alert. So when you're on the right road and in the right mood, it is thoroughly enjoyable. With the 1.5-liter turbo petrol engine, will feel even more fun as they have a slightly different tune for the suspension. But the Taigun can feel a bit too German every time and everywhere else. When you're commuting over broken roads, you will feel the bumpiness of the road in the cabin. Yes, it has adapted to Indian conditions to some extent, so you can manage to get by. Going through potholes, it will protest loudly with its thunks, and you will be the one going, ouch! So the Taigun is best enjoyed on smoother roads and at faster speeds. In that regard, it's quite a first-world car. It's obvious. The Taigun isn't a great SUV. It's a good urban SUV. To be a better all-rounder, its German DNA needs to adapt. Its suspension, while smooth enough, needs to feel more at home over broken roads. The 1-liter engine, while punchy enough, it needs to grumble less in city traffic, especially with the automatic. Its cabin needs to feel more lavish and more sophisticated. Its excellent crash test rating will be an attraction for many. The 1.5-liter turbo petrol engine will be a top draw as well. It's sophisticated, smooth, and exciting. Its cabin is better equipped than before, and yes, it is a practical cabin wrapped up in a handsome look. Does that make it a good pick for you? If yes, then I must ask, why not go for the better German experience? Why not consider the Virtus? Is it because the Virtus has 9 millimeters of ground clearance less? Come on, stop being a wuss.